The break, we heard Barbara Dickson sing. Now it's time to hear her talk. She was born in Dunfermline, started off work in the Registrar's General Office in Edinburgh and sang folk songs at night. In 1974 she moved to England and sang and narrated Willie Russell's John, Paul, George, Ringo and Bert. And then 22 years ago she had her first hit single, Answer Me. In the 70s and 80s the pop songs continued to be great hits, and Barbara appeared again in a Willie Russell musical. She was Mrs. Johnson in Blood Brothers. Her ability to act was demonstrated on television when she played Anita Braithwaite in Band of Gold. Barbara Dickson is a woman who adapts with the time. Thanks very much indeed for joining us, Barbara.
Thank you for that lovely long build-up there, Edie.
Was it a bit too long for you?
No, it was marvellous. I'll give you a fiver afterwards.
Where did you get your great ankles from? Kate says that she gets hers from her mum. Is it your mum or your dad?
Well, my mum has, nowadays her legs are not so good, but she had fantastic legs. I think you kind of inherit them or you don't really. I'm very lucky.
Now, you just sung about being a natural woman.
Yeah.
What's your view of HRT?
I think HRT is fantastic. Yeah, I really like it. I think it's not for everybody. I mean, by all accounts, talking to people who take it, some people have had terrible experiences with it and they don't like it at all, or it makes them feel most peculiar. But I take it and I like it a lot. It really works for me.
But why do you take it?
I take it because I've physically felt rather unwell, and I was having very kind of strange. It was a bit like, to describe it like PMT, which I didn't ever suffer from until
but everybody else did.
No, I didn't get it at all until I had my children. Then I suffered from it for the first time, and I realised what all the fuss was about and why everybody was so upset about it. It really is deeply hideous, and it became like that, but much more often, that I was suffering from great swings of hormones. So there was no contest for me. I would not continue in that vein.
It's perfectly natural, isn't it? If something's going to make you feel better.
Exactly, exactly.
Kate was saying that her voice has changed with age.
Yes.
Is yours?
Yes, certainly. Well, I've just had the flu, so my voice is much deeper than it normally is. But in fact, I think my voice has got better with time, because when I was unfortunately on This Is Your Life very recently, they got this ancient piece of film of me from John, Paul, George, Ringo and Bert singing Penny Lane, you know, the Beatles song Penny Lane from the show. And I couldn't believe it was me singing. It was so thin. The voice was so thin, and I like to think that it's filled out. There's much more to it now. And also my material, as I've got older, I think matches my experience now. It's more mature. It
so you like your
something.
Voice?
I love my voice. Yeah. Yes, if anything happens to it, I'm going to be very,
now is
very
that the thing that you wouldn't want to lose then? Of all the bits
Absolutely,
of your anatomy, that's the thing.
I have always been able
larynx.
to sing since I was a tiny baby. I've always been able to sing really well. And nothing has ever happened to me, touch wood, that's ever removed it from me, even temporarily, apart from having sort of bits of throat infections and stuff. But I have got a very robust voice. And I don't train for hours and hours and hours. I don't do that. Just have a little warm-up if I'm doing a concert, and I'm fine. But my voice is me. My singing voice is me. And without it, I might undergo a terrific crisis in every area of my life. I really could. Oh, yeah, because it's so much part of me. It's almost, and it's my conduit, if you like, where everything that I want to express, I can express through my singing voice by singing certain material.
I mentioned earlier about people being in the charts like Cher and Cliff and, and you too. I mean, it does show that you're never too old to rock and roll. Although I saw that one editor of a dance magazine talked about these horrible old people. I mean, that is ageism in the extreme, but is there any truth in that? I mean, is there a time to hang up the blue suede shoes and stop doing these kind of songs?
Well, I would say to you that only when the audience is dead. Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Because if the audience, like these people here tonight, or the listening public, if you're getting older, so is a certain amount of the population, who are the people who like you. They don't get younger while you get older. And you tend to like the same people. I think James Taylor is wonderful, and he's now very bald and middle-aged, and I don't give
He's
a
not
monkey's.
sweet baby James anymore.
He's not sweet baby James, no.
Still
But
sweet.
He's fabulous,
Very sweet,
and the
yeah.
most wonderful singer and fabulous guitarist. Now, why should he suddenly not do it anymore?
But
Because
you
he's
don't. I mean,
50.
but you have changed. You have adapted to the times, haven't you? I mean, you're not up there on Top of the Pops anymore
No,
singing
no.
January, February. I
But
couldn't see you
might
doing that
be-
anymore.
I might be, Edie. I might be on Top of the Pops doing another sort of song that I like to sing now. Make no mistake, we're talking ancient history here. A lot of that is a long time ago, and I wouldn't like you to think that I've deliberately been sort of ahead of the game and sort of watching the charts. And I mean, I'm not that committed to my career. I just do have a certain core of integrity that comes from my background and the sort of music I started singing. And I like singing and I like songs, and I still sing folk songs.
Well,
I
you never
still
really
sing
stopped,
them.
did you?
I never stopped singing them, and I like them. And
But it does sound as if you have a need to perform.
I do.
You have that as well,
Yeah.
Kate?
Yes,
a
I
need
do.
to perform?
Absolutely. So as Barbara says, so long as the audience is there, let's entertain them.
Exactly. I feel that we are not trying to convince 18-year-olds of our worth as performers. I'm not saying that is that I wouldn't like you to think that was me saying it's easier. But if you can do what you do well and continue to do it with, with a regard to the quality of your work, then you can sing and act and do anything you want till you're 95, until they wheel you on at the Royal Variety Performance. Dame Kate O'Mara, Dame Barbara Dickson, with a Zimmer frame
Never, we won't be doing that.
but something
We'll
like
be
that.
high kicking.
Would you really? Would you not have too much pride to go on there with a Zimmer?
It depends what I was going to do once I was out there. It'd take a long time to get out there, wouldn't it? So I'd have to be doing
Yeah.
something important.
Yeah.
I wouldn't go out there and just do any old thing. I wouldn't sing a duet with somebody I didn't want to sing, even if I was 95.
But are you somebody who's had a 2-year game plan, that you do something, you think, in 2 years' time, I would like to be, or you weren't saying, I want to be a television actress now, let's see how I can do it. I want to play a gritty part.
No, I said when I did Blood Brothers in 1983 that I would like to be in television drama. It took 11 years for someone to ask me.
When you were in your mid-30s,
Yeah.
you had just about everything, didn't you? You were very, very successful. You were perfectly independent. You didn't have a husband or
Didn't
a
have
family.
didn't have a private life, really.
Was
Yeah.
that something that you pursued?
Oh, well, I wanted
Or
to
did
have...
it just happen?
Well, my husband just happened. I mean, I had in the back of my mind that I really did want to have a proper relationship and possibly a family. But I knew
Was
enough...
that a form of midlife crisis?
No, it wasn't. It was basically, I was worried about going about that the wrong way, because I think I knew so many people who had failed relationships and marriages. By the time you get to 35, you know an awful lot of people who've been through and come out the other side and are almost like yourself, but I never had been married. So because I hadn't been married, I think I was desperate to not be married lots of times. I really wanted to be married to somebody forever.
Kate, you've been married 3 times now. Were you somebody that started off thinking, this one's going to definitely work?
Yes, I did, but I'm afraid, I wish I had your view on it, but I've been very unfortunate in my choice of spouse, and it hasn't worked out for me. So I'm not married at the moment, and I have no intentions of ever getting married again. It seems to work better for me when I was just living with them.
And it was nothing to do with them being younger?
No, because my first husband was considerably older than I was. In my case, and obviously Barbara doesn't have this experience, or she has a much more understanding husband, my husbands could not cope with the fact that I was the famous one. That's what my last...
So it was success, not age, because your last husband was 20 years younger.
He was 18 years younger than I. But he said that I disempowered him, is what he said.
Now,
that
what's
was his
Oliver
phrase.
like with you? Is he like
Well,
that?
I'm just thinking that,
He's
I
11
hate
years
to
younger.
play the sort of amateur psychologist, but I mean, that sounds to me like he was deeply insecure. And that's not your fault, that's not your problem, it was his problem, but it's too late once you're married to somebody. But my husband is 11 years younger than me, and I
But
didn't
doesn't really look 11 years younger.
I didn't even see my husband as a possible partner when I met him. He was a stage manager working with me, and I always think it's rather wise to marry the stage management and not another person on the stage, because you've got a battle of egos there.
Yeah.
So marry somebody who's in the stage management, or who's got a proper life, you know, not like us. And he had a proper life. The thing was that when I suddenly started to look at him as himself and not as a person 11 years younger than me, but he was rather keen on me, and I thought, oh, this is impossible. But anyway, I thought, he's a very respectable person. This sounds so boring, but actually it's very important. He's a very respectable young man, brought up wonderfully well by two very nice people.
Mum would like him.
No, not at all. That didn't occur to me. What my mother thinks about partners is not important. He had two sisters and a brother, and they were all nice people. They were nice to each other. They were kind. They were interesting. They were
Did you also
artistic.
think we'll have nice children together?
No, I didn't think that at all.
But
I never project. I think that sort of tempts Providence in a way.
But would
I
you
married
project
him
that you
and-
would have had 3 children?
No, I had one child. I had to have children quickly, basically, if I was going to have them at all. I had 2 little boys, and I thought, well, I'll try and have a girl, and I didn't get a girl. I got another boy, and I thought, well, that's it. You can't keep going, really. And I've got my 3 boys who are completely gorgeous and drop-dead gorgeous.
They are drop-dead
They're
gorgeous.
drop-dead
Do they
gorgeous.
make you more aware of being in your 50s? I mean, your youngest boy, Archie's 8, isn't he?
Well, no, they don't. If anything, it works the opposite way. I think that you feel younger. I mean, I was...
Do you think that they don't mind you being the age that you are, though? Is it more difficult for the boys?
I think they don't see my age. They see their mum.
And that's because you've got boys. If you had girls,
Yeah.
you wouldn't be like that, I don't think.
Well, it could be.
You'd be
that
much
could
more
be true.
critical.
But also, it's not that unusual to be my age now, because there are mothers at my children's school who are around 50, and their children are 12 and 13, you know, and that's my eldest son is 12, and there are several girls who are late 40s, so I'm not really abnormally older
Your
than
son's
them.
middle-aged, though. He's, what, 35?
30,
Does that
yeah,
make
35.
you feel older?
He introduces me as his little sister. He says, no, it's not my mum, this is my young sister. But
Oh, he's learned a lot of tact in his life. What
Yes,
a
yes,
diplomatic
well-
young man.
Well, he maybe sees you like that. Do you
I don't
think he
know,
does?
but he's very tall. He's also drop-dead gorgeous. But of course, I would say that because I'm his mum.
You do, yeah.
But of course, he's only 3 years younger than my current boyfriend, and so that's the sort of quite interesting situation there. But he
Is that a euphemism for a bit embarrassing sometimes?
no, just challenging and interesting. I think life is a learning curve anyway, and we learn as we go along. And I'm learning about all of that. But he doesn't seem like, well, he's nearly 36 actually, he doesn't seem like it. He seems like 17, and I don't know whether he's done that deliberately to try and make me seem younger or not. But for instance, he hasn't had any children yet. He hasn't got married or had any children. So I'm not a grandmother yet, which is unusual for a woman of my age who's, you know, has got a family.
Would you like to be a grandmother?
Oh yes, I think so, because then one could, you know, have all the joys of motherhood and then say, oh, that's lovely, have it back. Be great.
I'd love to be a grandmother. I really would, because I just love babies.
Babies are divine. Yeah.
I just love them to bits. So
I'm sure if one of your sons came home just now and said you're about to be a grandmother, you might be a little worried.
I'd be very worried if it was Archie, because he's 8. And he's got chicken pox. He's very debilitated.
Anyway, we'll be joined by Tony Roper in a minute. Well, as always, 3 women, we've managed to kind of talk the hind legs, haven't we? Don't know where the last few minutes have gone actually, but I'm sure it's time for a break. Thank you very much anyway. Barbara Dickson, Kate Tamara, stay where you are.
Thank you.
break now after that.
Not at all. Hi kids, how you doing?
Hello.
Not bad. And you're not married at the moment, is that right?
And you're a younger man.
What do you know about menstruation and childbirth?
A lot.
Good.
A lot.
Good.
I've read everything about it. It never fails to excite me immensely. It's excellent. No, I'm very happy to be a male.
Are you at all worried about food in Scotland? Women in Scotland tend to be considered to be strong, regardless of their age.
Well, I was just going to say that the women must have been strong, and the women you were writing about would have been true, because everybody's granny that I've ever encountered in my life was a very strong woman who just got on with it, brought up loads of kids and still washed her step and made huge meals and washed and pulled chickens' necks and just did all sorts of extraordinary things.
So do you think that women are better at growing older than men then? I mean, we normally think of women having a tougher time.
I think women are better at coping generally. I think they're more adaptable because they've had to be. And I think most women are strong. I think most women in this life always have to cope, and as a result become stronger. I know more strong women than I do strong men, I have to say.
But isn't that if they're prepared to
I just think it depends on, with that, if you have, for example, if you've been a sex symbol at any point in your career or your life, then it is very difficult, I suppose, because...
Do you think you were ever a sex symbol?
Never. So I was all right, really, because it didn't really matter what I looked like.
Because Kate Mara is still a sex symbol.
She certainly is, and quite rightly so.
And Tony, what about you? Are you a sex symbol?
I would doubt it.
I think sex symbols, certainly men, are usually terribly disappointing. I mean, in all sorts of ways.
Yes, I agree.
Socially.
Absolutely.
I mean, I've met a couple of drop-dead gorgeous-looking actors who are really boring. And I mean, I'm not interested in people who look fantastic, who haven't got any character.
But
I think that's all part
are we
of
in
what makes
agreement
people
here, though,
sexy.
that youth doesn't have a monopoly on sex appeal?
Of course it
I mean,
doesn't.
do you fancy older-looking women? No.
Not really, no. No, I don't think I do, apart from my lady that I live with, of course, who I adore. I'm not really interested, you know. I'd rather watch Manchester United and Chelsea on the television and something like that. My mother...
That's really...
Place into her house. I can understand why she got shirty about it.
The worst thing about getting old for me is your memory.
That long story pretty well.
Oh, well, that happened to me. That's fine. Like half an hour ago, along with 15 other people, and you go, you're can I tell you a joke?
Kate Mara and Barbara Dickson. Next week we're joined by gladiator Ali Payton, happiness guru Ben Renshaw, and complete with tickling stick former brothel keeper Madam Cynthia Payne, when we look at what makes them happy. Until then, good night.